I wanted to hear your thoughts on techniques that we can use
Yeah.
to actually go within. So
Yeah.
please.
All right. So okay. So I like what you mentioned about, the fact that, okay, and we discussed this earlier, that, the time was a major factor. We all ignore this sense of, okay, no, we need to actually spend a lot of time on it, but we use so many excuses, and then the world has kind of put us in this space. So the first thing is actually like, what can we do, and how can we be able to do this successfully? And I realized, it's just as simple as putting yourselves, taking a seat back and just monitoring how we think and how we feel, because a lot of the times we don't get to do that with ourselves and with others. How we feel is something we normally put to the side, and we mainly focus on how do we make others feel, which is in one sense a good thing, but when we ignore ourselves so much, it becomes a big problem. And I've noticed it even with myself, like by living in the temple, I was always focused on, the number of people that came around and making sure that they're okay and that they can see that I'm doing well. But there was so much little time spent on, am I actually okay? Am I doing well? Am I, in a fine state of consciousness myself? And the world just put me in a position right now that has to be the main question that I'm asking, because the people aren't there around anymore. So that actually now takes us to technique. So obviously we have, different ways, but the one main thing that I like to do is that when I wake up every morning, I like to monitor my feelings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Monitor.
As like the first thing to monitor my feelings and actually ask myself, how am I doing? Am I okay? Am I fine in this state that I'm in right now? Am I comfortable within myself? Because only once I understand these things, then I can understand, how do I move forward? How do I take advantage of the day? How do I take advantage of the opportunities that have been set forth around me? So just sitting back, and I think that's the main thing which we always forget to do, because yes, we're told obviously in spiritual life, it's not really about us, it's about a greater force behind us. But the only way we can understand that is if we understand where we're at. There's this nice thing, I'm sure you're aware about this, that it's talked about also in the Bhagavad Gita, of like Sambandha, Prayojana, and Abhideya. So so like Sambandha being our position right now, and Prayojana being the position where we need to be, and Abhideya being that process. So we can only identify how to get there, once we identify where we're at right now. And that's the main thing, because we never think about our position, we think about where we need to be and the goal. So like I live in this temple and I live around so many inspirational people, one of them being Sutapa Prabhu, who you've actually I think experienced his courses. And the main mistake I would do within myself is that I would look at Sutapa Prabhu and see how amazing and how fantastic he is, and just right off the bat think, that's what I need to be, that's where I need to get to, all my steps should be towards that. And I would really ignore where I am at in my spiritual life at the moment, where my abilities are, where my strength is, and how I can work my way up to that kind of like goal or ideal. So I think that actually taking the time to ask ourselves these questions, like how do we feel? And I found something very simple as just doing like a spider diagram, really, so like a spider diagram really works for me. And I'm actually, because I've done this a few times and I've seen it, all those days really help me out, is that I start jotting down, this is how I feel, this is where I'm at, even if it's not the best of things, because they say there's seasons of happiness and distress, they're all coming and going, so but if we monitor that and we're honest with ourselves like that, then we can move forward. So that's the first thing that I do. The first thing that I do is that I acknowledge my feelings and I acknowledge the state that I'm in. And then after that, now I start to see, how can I connect further within myself, and how can I connect further with what's around me. And the good fortune of us even living in the temple is that it's made a compulsory thing to do meditation, and so japa meditation, which is meditation on these beads, they're kind of like like your lifesaver. They become like your best friend. So I take time to kind of do this meditation and really connect with the vibration, connect to the mantra, and try to like feel that state of calmness within myself, which actually comes through concentration. There's like the three modes of material nature, so the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And I was actually listening to a devotee known as Jagannatha. He's an amazing devotee, and he was talking about how sattva, the mode of goodness, like twa means being, and sat talks about the state of, sat means being, and twa talks about that constant state.
Yeah.
So the word sattva in itself is actually the constant state of being, which is quite interesting. I never really looked at it like that. And so when that state of sattva, we're comfortable within ourselves, regardless of what's coming, regardless of the circumstances that are around us. And so the mantra meditation actually kind of helps us get to that position.
Yeah.
And so I realized that really taking advantage of doing this japa meditation and connecting with the mantras and actually doing the meditation with full attention or to the best of our ability kind of helps us, narrow down that kind of craziness that is within ourselves. And then we can actually start to introspect and feel that state of being that is ourselves naturally, without all this craziness of the world, the media, the technology, and all of these things. Yeah. So those are like the two things, that I think I'm trying to actually implement. I know it's also like a lesson for me, because I've started realizing that these are the things I need to be focusing on, which we normally ignore most of the time.